Hey everybody, Sean here, and I hope you're doing well. Yes, you read that title correctly, so let's jump right in. And special thanks to Landon Conway for sharing this. If you aren't familiar with Troy Black, this is him on his website. This particular page is him promoting his own quotes, and I think that says a lot about him. Humble people do not promote themselves like this. People that respect you quote you, as we do with someone like Charles Spurgeon. A time will come when instead of shepherds feeding the sheep, the church will have clowns entertaining the goats. If only he knew how correct he was. He's someone that considers himself a prophet and teams up with people like Brian Guerin. You know, that guy that talked about angel honey sticks from heaven and hosted events with out-of-control laughing that sounded more like demon possession. I'll leave a link to that at the end if you haven't seen it. But he's a popular guy and has over 329,000 subscribers. And what you'll notice is that God speaks to him with something new almost every day. Tells him about people as well. It's like God's a cosmic gosper, which he's not. I mean, Troy hears from God more than any of the prophets in the Bible did, so I guess he's pretty special. I don't think we've seen the phrase, God told me, on anybody's site as much as his. And let's not forget that he's also been on the Sid Roth Show. But that aside, he's being proven to be a false prophet by channels like Fighting for the Faith, I Think Biblically, Feather Drop, and other channels. The video we're looking at today is this recent one. He says that God told him about the origins of Charlie Vector 019, and he only talks about that for 2 minutes, even though that's the title of this 20-minute video.
So I was driving in the car when the Lord began to speak this to me, and I could feel the presence of God very strong. It's what I would consider the prophetic presence. It's what often happens when the Lord begins to speak to me. I suddenly feel his power and his presence come over me as I'm hearing from him. And sometimes it's a lot stronger than others, and the presence of God was very strong in this case. And then the Lord confirmed the message to me directly after, and I'm going to share that after I share this word. This is what I heard. I heard it was an accident, but it was not an accident. It was meant to be delivered at a later date, but I intercepted it and messed things up.
Okay, so it's unclear what he means by delivered. Does he mean Charlie Vector was to be released at a different time? Maybe God made a mistake with his wording. But God stepped in and messed it up. I don't think Troy means God made a mistake, but that God changed the situation.
And then I heard Satan still took advantage of the opportunity. The same way that minds are in place on the battlefield to anticipate the steps of a soldier, he had a plan in mind, and he already had his men in place.
So it sounds like it was Satan's plan to release this. Well, that makes sense. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
And then I heard, I caused it to be released early, and he is going to try again.
So it was God that unleashed this horror on the world? I don't think so, Troy. And how did that mess with the devil's plan? It just made them happen faster.
But I'm using this as an opportunity to release the captives, to set my people free, and to put in motion the next stage of my plan, my revival.
So God's plan was to release this devastation to set the captives free? That makes no sense. Who was set free? All we saw was death. And there is no revival in the Bible, but a great falling away in the last days.
And then I heard, there was a plan, but it was disrupted. They would have waited if they could. It was meant to be delivered at a later date. Then I continued to pray about this, what I heard, and then I heard again, it was a mistake. They didn't mean to let it out.
But it wasn't them that let it out. You said that God caused it to be released early. If you follow Troy Black, please understand that this is not prophecy. If we're talking about prophecy as in 1 Corinthians 14, this did not strengthen, encourage, or comfort anyone. And if it's futuristic prophecy, it wasn't that either. It was God supposedly telling Troy that it was God himself that made this horror show happen even faster. That sounds more like God's wrath being poured out. And we know in 1 Thessalonians that we are not appointed to his wrath. Going through tribulation and testing brought on by the enemy makes sense. But I don't believe Troy saying that God told him that he unleashed this destroyer earlier than the devil planned to, just to mess things up, because it didn't. Instead, I would refer to Jeremiah 23. Thus says the Lord of hosts, do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you, filling you with vain hopes. They speak visions of their own minds, and not from the mouth of the Lord. Maybe Troy's hopeful message was that revival was coming faster because of God speeding up the process. But once again, a great revival is not biblical, and we are told of the apostasy, or great falling away, in 2 Thessalonians. So along with the others that have exposed him, I have to agree that he's definitely not hearing from God and should not be listened to. But hey, maybe you have your own thoughts about Troy, and if so, leave those in the comments below. And until next time, take care and God bless.